Welcome back to Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches. I'm Richard.
And I'm Noah.
Today we have a little departure from our standard fare, and I think these departures are going to be more the norm here very soon.
Very soon.
Because we're walking away from Disney products and the Marvel Universe and some of the standard stuff we do to revisit that wonderful topic of movies that when you see them come on TV, you just sit and watch them because they're that good. And because no matter how many times you see them, they're fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so for today's episode, we want to visit the Shawshank Redemption. Now, before we go any further, you borrowed the Shawshank Redemption last week.
Yes.
And you watched it. Had you seen it before?
Yes, I had. Which is a completely different experience than watching it the first time, let me tell you.
So, how old were you when you watched it the first time? Was this one of those movies your mom and I showed you when you were younger?
This is one of the ones you showed me when I was younger. I want to say 13 or 14.
Okay.
Because it was around the same time as The Green Mile.
All right.
That one's harder to watch. We're not watching that one for a while. Yeah, I want to say I was around 13 or 14. Probably one of the first. Is this an R? I think it is. It's got too many F-bombs in it to not be an R-rated movie.
The F-bombs in the rape sequence probably is enough to earn it an R rating.
There's not much shown in that. It's more implied than anything else.
Yes, it is, but it's implied effectively.
Yeah, it's very, very effectively implied. So yes, hard R, and I was 13 or 14. It was one of the first ones I had seen.
Okay, had you seen it since then?
No.
Oh, all right.
So yes.
So
we're talking. It's been a decade.
So what do you think? What was your reaction to this movie?
Honestly, despite there being a 10-year gap between viewings, I still remembered exactly what was going to happen as I was watching it. Even if I didn't remember this scene happened, like I'm watching a certain scene and this scene happened, I was sitting there going, oh yeah, and then this is what happens, and then this is what he does, and this is what's going on in the background. And I think that is a testament to how good this movie really is.
Yes.
Because it sticks with you for a long time. You once you see this movie, you're not going to forget it. It is amazing. It is absolutely fantastic. It is 100% Chekhov's gun, the movie.
Well, you're going to need to explain that. You're going to...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, Chekhov's gun, for anyone who doesn't know, is a literary tool, or a rule in some cases. Basically, the theory is if you're in a scene, okay, and the author, the director, whoever's telling the story points out the fact that there's a gun on the table, and your attention is drawn to it. It is purposefully put in front of you. Or if it's on the wall above the fireplace and one of the characters mentions it, or if the camera focuses on it, or something, it has to come into play later. It's a tool. So, you see it all the time. Foreshadowing is a little bit, but it's in reference to objects, but it can also be in reference to concepts. So this movie is doing it throughout the entire thing. Everything that gets mentioned in like what the first lines that we hear of Morgan Freeman's narration is talking about Andy asking for a Rita Hayworth poster.
Yes.
And then of course the Rita Hayworth poster comes in about 20 minutes later when you've already forgotten that he mentioned it.
Right.
You know, like that situation repeats throughout the movie where something is mentioned, and then later into the movie when you've been thoroughly distracted by everything else, it comes back into play. And it just keeps doing that throughout the movie. So you're constantly getting these new little surprises of, oh my gosh, this came back, this happened, this... It was just good. It's just really good.
Now,
it's really well written. It's really well performed. And we'll get to that. If you
just
fantastic.
Haven't seen the movie, and it came out in the
In 94.
94.
This movie is older than I am.
It is based on a novella written by Stephen King called titled Rita Hayworth in Shawshank Redemption. It's a fantastic novella. It was in a book, Different Seasons.
I think that's what you said.
I think it's called Different Seasons, and it's one of many novellas that Stephen King wrote that is not a horror story. The king of American fiction in the last 50 years has been primarily known as a horror writer, and he is so much better than that. To classify him simply as a horror writer is a disservice to his writing ability. And this story, this movie, is that novella come to life.
Yes.
It is. If you read it, if you take the time to read it, you are going to see that it's a faithful adaptation, wonderfully done. And sometimes you see adaptations of a story that are faithful and then are somehow lacking something, but this production is magical. It really is.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, the just you can tell by watching this movie how much care was put into it. Like, even if you didn't know that this was an adaptation, like, you can tell that whoever was trying to tell this story cared a lot about the story they were trying to tell.
Now, did I suggest way back when you were 13 or 14 to watch this because we had read The Count of Monte Cristo?
You might have, because I think you made the joke while we were reading Count of Monte Cristo. And if you know the joke, you know the joke. And then I think you made the joke and I didn't get it, and you were like, "Oh man, I have to show you Shawshank Redemption, and then you'll get the joke." And then you showed me Shawshank Redemption.
So
I think that's how that went.
Very talented actor named William Sadler, who played a character Heywood. And there's a scene in the prison library where they're unpacking a crate of books, and he pulls out The Count of Monte Cristo. And that's when the movie drops the big, reveal that this story is basically The Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah.
Now, when I read Rita Hayworth in The Shawshank Redemption, I had never read The Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah.
So I didn't catch that it was just the retelling of that story.
The layers of symbology and
symbolism.
Or symbolism or whatever, however you want to say it. It is just, there's so many in this movie. There's so many things. It's like, what does this scene specifically mean? Like, if you search Shawshank Redemption, I was trying to find what the name of one of the prison guards. And I'm like, prison guard scene, trying to specifically narrow down the search. And all the articles are like the significance of this scene and what it means for Andy's character journey.
Right.
And it's like dissecting the meaning of this scene. And it's like,
desperately trying to produce content so you will keep clicking on my website.
We all sound like English teachers.
Hey,
red curtains mean that the curtains are red.
You be nice.
Thank you.
Was it Captain Hadley you were looking for?
No, it was not Captain Hadley.
Has Clancy Brown ever taken on a role where his character is not a jerk?
Nope, I'm pretty sure he's typecast.
Right.
I'm pretty sure he's typecast in that.
With the exception of Rebels.
He was in Rebels?
He's in Rebels.
Really?
Season 4 of Rebels. He was his character was on what's Ezra's home world?
I don't know.
I can't remember the name of it. We're gonna dip back into Disney for a little bit. Anyways, the animation is Clancy Brown. I mean, it's just they just took a picture of him.
They just took a picture of Clancy. I'll have to go back and find
animated it, and he's one of the good guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but you cannot.
One of the rebels. I
think.
You
can't miss his voice.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, and the last thing I remember seeing him in was Daredevil season 2. He's Frank Castle's Colonel.
Oh, that's right. Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that.
Also a great performance. Just a good actor. This cast is incredible.
Yes.
Of this movie, and I don't know what else Tim Robbins has done. I don't know what else he's done. I don't know what else he's known for besides this movie. So I saw your eyes just light up. You're excited.
No, not excited. Surprised, actually.
Really?
I think a lot of people who are watching might be surprised. Now, I'll be honest with you. I can't name a whole bunch of things, but his he is
I'm sure.
6'5".
He is 6'5"?
He is a tall dude.
What?
Yeah, his filmography has got to be huge. I mean, you don't do the performance that he gave without having a lot of experience.
I don't know. Some people.
One Oscar win.
One Oscar win. Was it for the Shawshank?
Wait, is it his Oscar win
or was he in an Oscar-winning movie?
Yeah, I don't know. But it is a. He did a baseball movie with Susan Sarandon and Dances with Wolves guy, Kevin Costner. Here's a picture. I'm pretty certain.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to dig that. Known for Mystic River, The Player, Howard the Duck. We'll have to go back and look at that one. Dead Man Walking, Castle Rock, Dark Waters, Here and Now, Major Prime, The Brink. His filmography is huge.
Okay, so he's got a lot under his belt.
Yep.
Okay.
And a lot since then. I mean, that's just the stuff.
Yeah.
The stuff since then.
Stuff since then. Well, I mean, you've got Tim Robbins in the who's giving, like you said, probably the performance of his lifetime. Yeah. Absolutely wonderful as Andy Dufresne, and Morgan Freeman, being Morgan Freeman. Like you could have that man narrate paint drying, and people would shell out their wallets to listen to it. All right. Every time I see Morgan Freeman, I'm never disappointed. I don't think I've seen a Morgan Freeman performance that I've been disappointed with. I might be disappointed with the writing, but I don't think I've ever been disappointed with his performance.
I think he has one of those voices that is so distinct, it's so soothing.
Yes. Absolutely.
And his characters usually have some sort of depth to them that make them.
Yes. And Red was a really good character.
Yes, he was.
In this. And the chemistry between Red and Dufresne, you feel like they were in jail, 20, 30 years together?
Probably 30.
Probably 30, and you get the feeling that these two have been best friends and have been leaning on each other and working together to live as comfortably as they can for this long.
My favorite character in the movie. Can you guess?
Your favorite character in the movie, is it one of the prisoners?
It is a prisoner.
It is a prisoner. Okay, is it the blonde dude? Is it the blonde dude? I don't think it's the blonde dude.
It's not the blonde.
It's not the blonde dude. Is it the buzz dude? Buzz cut dude?
Brooks Hatlin.
Brooks Hatlin. I see that. Okay, I can see that.
Brooks Hatlin. James Whitmore played Brooks Hatlin. Yeah. And it was a combination of things. One, I grew up watching James Whitmore in movies and on TV shows. It's from my childhood. When I saw him, I hadn't seen him in years. I saw him in this role. It was really nice to see him back on the screen. But there was something about his character. The older I've gotten, the more I appreciate it. And that is the scene where after he's released after 50 some odd years in prison.
Yeah.
And he's trying to make his way in a world where so much technology has advanced. Because when he went into prison, there were no automobiles. He says he had seen one
in his lifetime as a kid.
And then you see him trying to cross the street and almost getting hit by a car and somebody, yelling at him. And in his letter back to his friends in prison, he wrote something to the effect of, "The world has gone and gotten itself in a big damn hurry."
Mm-hmm.
And I think about that line. I think about that line all the time. I think about it when I'm cut off in traffic. I think about it when someone elbows me out of the way in the store. And one of the things that I've done now for a few years in a grocery store, especially at Aldi, when I have this monster cart of groceries and someone comes up behind me with one or two items, I encourage them to cut ahead.
Yeah.
And when people encourage me to cut ahead, I will not take it from them. I just assure them, you're in line, and there's a reason. I am forcing myself to slow down.
Okay.
And there's nothing going on that is so important
Yeah.
that I cannot take the time to extend just a little bit of courtesy. And that line, it's just got free rent in the back of my head. That's one of the reasons why I do it.
Rent free there.
It does, and it does. It's a combination of the quality of the writing,
Yep.
and
the performance,
and the performance,
Yes.
and the impression that the actor and the director made.
Yeah.
And that line is done in narration.
Yeah.
That line is not,
Yeah.
delivered.
It's narration.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. It was voiceover. It's
so
everything about this movie. Like, there's so many things that are just so memorable. That just stick out.
Yes. So that one sticks with me. That's one that I really like. And the line about Alexandre dumbass is
It's fantastic.
which your mom and I use on each other all the time in conversation. When we want to playfully call the other one a dumbass, we just quote the movie.
Yeah, there you go. Alexandre dumbass.
So what stands out as you? Do you have a favorite character? Do you have a
I like Red.
Okay.
I like Red. This is a movie where you know that I care about depth and development.
Yes.
Okay. And the more of it something gives me, like the more of it in a certain character that a story gives me, or the more room, or the more you can see where there is opportunity, or the more you can think about that character, the more meat you have with a character, that's what I enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't even have to, like, exposit a lot. You can show me a couple things, establish a couple ideas. We never know specifically what he went to jail for aside from murder. We just know that he went to jail for murder. We don't know who he murdered. We don't know why he murdered. And we know that he would, because he says it towards the end of the movie, that if he could go back and tell that young kid not to do it, he would, and explain what was lying ahead. But we don't know anything about his character in terms of that. We don't know specifically what he's there for, other than that he's innocent like everyone else in Shawshank.
Right.
But he's a perfect counterbalance to Andy, who you do see what got him in jail.
Yes.
And then over the course of the story, you get shown why it's such a big deal without getting into spoilers. Too many spoilers if you haven't seen the movie.
The movie came out 30 years ago. I don't think you should worry about too many spoilers.
Okay, fine.
But
okay, so
for a new generation of potential watchers, viewers, if you haven't seen the Shawshank Redemption, you need to sit down.
Just
and
pause
watch
the
it.
movie, pause the video, go find the movie, go watch it,
And then
come back
on
here.
back.
We'll be here. We'll be waiting. Okay, have you watched it? Okay, glad to have you back. So now that you've seen it and you know that Andy was innocent the whole time.
Yes.
It's like this perfect counter. You have this criminal who's serving a life sentence for murder.
Yes.
Okay, and he's 40, 50 years into his sentence. And then you've got this guy who's serving 2 life sentences for a crime he didn't commit. And you've got the jaded criminal.
Yes.
Who doesn't have any hope. He doesn't have any hope to get out of there, and he's almost willingly becoming institutionalized, which is one of the big points in this movie. He has accepted his fate.
Yes.
According to, like, he's accepted what he thinks is his fate. And then you've got Andy, who is hopeful and has a plan and eventually escapes.
Even after how many years he's in.
Yeah, even after how many years he's in, and all the stuff he's been through, everything that he's been through, the beatings, how, an opportunity to clear his name was taken away from him. Like, he was still hopeful, he still kept a cool head, and he was thinking about everyone else. While he was in there. He got the boys free beer.
Yes.
He got them
Courtesy
a library.
Of the hardest turning screw
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the history of
yeah,
Shawshank.
yeah.
Right.
It's like he's I feel like Red is supposed like the story is about Andy, but Red's the main character because you're seeing Andy's story through Red.
Yes.
And Red has more development because Andy wasn't guilty. He just needs to learn to adapt and survive and get through his punishment. So I'm not going to say there's no development of Andy's character because Andy does grow. He learns how to live in this system. He learns how to fight. He learns how to get through it. He learns how to get the things he needs, manipulate who he needs to manipulate, but
always for a good purpose.
Always for a good purpose. And he's a much more stoic character than Red, and Red is learning from him, and he's the one who's getting that good development. He's learning to have hope again, so that when he's released, he's like, oh, he learned to trust Andy over the course.
He did learn to trust Andy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And at the beginning, you get that comment where he's like, I didn't know what to think of this kid. I thought he was going to break on the first night. I bet 2 packs of smokes that he was going to be the first to cry.
Right.
Like, he had no confidence in this kid at all. And now he's a trusted friend by the end of the movie that saved his life.
Well, it's interesting, this idea of development and who develops more and how do they develop. One of the ways we get to see Red develop is through his parole hearings.
Yes,
because
that was fantastic.
This is a wonderful time for him.
Yeah.
Every 10 years he comes up for parole. Every 10 years there's a different parole board. It's always new people.
It's always new people.
And they have his file open, and you take a look at this picture of him as an 18-year-old when he's put in, and they ask, "Do you feel rehabilitated?" And his answers change over the course of 10 to 20 to 30 years from yes, I feel completely rehabilitated to I don't care what you think of me and whether or not I'm rehabilitated. I don't even know what rehabilitated means at this point.
Yeah.
He has clearly, when he gives that answer, completely given up hope.
Yeah.
Ironically,
yeah,
it's that answer that wins him his freedom from a new young parole board who has decided he's served enough time. But very early on in the movie, he tells Andy, hope is a dangerous thing.
Yeah, he does.
You can't have
very
hope.
Early. Yeah.
You abandon all hope, ye who enter here. Isn't
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
the line over hell in Dante's Inferno.
Yes, it is.
Studio Dog needs to go out.
Old Studio Dog.
Now, the other one's laying here very nicely.
Yep.
And that's the one thing that Andy never gives up.
Yeah.
He takes beating after beating after
Yep.
assault after beating, and he never gives up hope. He starts a prison library.
Yep.
He
teaches so many, gets them all their high school
diplomas.
Yep.
He uses his time for good to benefit other people.
Yeah.
Which you slowly see that's in his heart.
Yes. And Andy Dufresne is a good person at heart.
Yes.
And the one thing that he says is about like why his wife was cheating on him, and it's because he was busy and putting his work life ahead of his wife. And Red's like, that just makes you a bad husband, not a bad person.
Right. But it's also his inability to express his feelings. He very clearly struggled with telling his wife how he felt about her, because he's a very reserved human being.
Yes.
And it's just it's an interesting character study, and it's interesting to watch all of these characters develop.
Oh yeah. It's just so good. It's just so good. And the warden as the
it's funny you go there next because that
you were back to where I was
gonna be. Exactly.
I mean, where do we go next?
Bob Gunton as Warden Norton. That's the first time. That was the first role I had ever seen him in.
Yeah.
And if there is an actor who is the quintessential SOB,
that's it.
Because of course He's the financier in Daredevil.
Yes, he is.
And
yes, he is.
He's as much as an
Yeah, he's a lot funnier in Daredevil.
Yes, he is.
He's a lot, but yes,
he's a lot more sarcastic.
Yes,
but he's also he's ugly in this one because his character is a Bible thumping. I was wondering if thumping's the right term. He likes to quote scripture.
He likes to use it as a shield.
He likes to use it as a shield when he is anything but spiritual and scriptural. And while there's
a little bit of that Stephen King classic coming out.
Well, yeah, I think that there's some embedded criticism of Christianity there. I'm normally very sensitive to that in movies. I usually recoil just a little bit, but I have to admit I know people and have known people like that, and it's a black mark on the rest of Christendom. But but you can't expect sinners to behave any other way than sinfully. And his character does exquisitely.
Yeah,
exquisitely.
That's the perfect word for it.
Well, it's the quality of the acting.
It's
just
so
pulls
good.
it off so well that
so good.
I've never been bothered or offended by it.
Yeah,
at all.
No, it's absolutely fantastic. You notice that they swear a lot in this movie, and the only one who actually breaks that the warden's rule about don't take the Lord's name in vain is the prison guard.
I hadn't noticed that, actually.
I actually noticed that on this. I don't think I heard... I think all the prisoners, for as foul-mouthed as they were sticking to that rule.
Gotcha.
I think. So, I don't know. If someone would be willing to fact-check me on that, I would love to be proven right or proven wrong, but it would be really cool if the writers paid that much attention and wrote the script to match that.
Well, I've been looking at the I've been looking at the cast here just a little bit as we're going through, and I think I want to point out Mark Rolston.
Yeah.
And Mark Rolston played Boggs.
Yes.
And Boggs is the character that repeatedly sexually assaulted Andy in the first 2 years he was in prison. And I only want to point out to say this: I don't know what Mark Rolston is like in real life. But his acting performance reminded me of a lesson that my dad taught me when I was a kid, back when we were watching Roots. And I don't know if you've ever seen Roots, the miniseries. When Roots came on in the 70s, based on the Alex Haley novel, and it's a story about multiple generations of one family of slaves who came from Africa to America.
Okay.
And it really is. It's a tremendous miniseries.
Oh, this is the one where you despise the villain.
I despised one of the villains.
Yeah,
absolutely despised him. And my dad looked at me and he kind of laughed. So I was probably 10 or 11 when this happened, and he said, "Well, that means the actor did his job." And I was so incensed at the character. I was "What do you mean?" Good. He's like, "Son, this is what actors are supposed to do." And if you despise the character that much, then
the actor's done their
job. And that just messed with my head as a kid. I had to spend a lot of time thinking about that. And Mark Rolston's performance as Boggs was right up there. It's a character that you hate.
Yep.
And he drips with cruelty and he's creepy.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Oh yeah.
What a performance.
And to see him get his just desserts was probably one of the most satisfying moments of the movie.
Yes.
Hearing that he'll never walk again and will spend the rest of his life drinking through a straw.
Right.
It's like, man.
So
I shouldn't want this to be the case, but I really wanted that to be the case.
But sometimes it's just fun to do that. So the Shawshank Redemption is it's a wonderful movie. It is well acted. It is not one to show young children or have on. The TV version is edited for TV.
It's probably just got the cussing, and that's about it.
It's on every 20 minutes on AMC, and you can catch it if you watch the DVD version. Keep the kids out of the room. until you think they're old enough to watch it. But it is a wonderful story.
Absolutely fantastic.
And high up on the ranks of movies to watch.
If it comes on, just sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
Just sit down and watch it.
Cancel
It's so good.
cancel your plans. You know.
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, it's just so good. It's like it's I can't really think of any problems with it. Like there's very like if I have any problems with it, they're very minor. They're like so minor that I can't think of any complaints. It's just a fantastic movie.
Yeah, it's the real deal. It's very, very well put together.
Yeah.
And it probably has developed a cult following after it was released. I don't know that it was such a big hit in the box office. But,
I think it's more than a cult following at this point. I think it's probably one of the best known movies. Like when I talk about
all I meant to say was that the momentum has grown. Its popularity has grown and grown and grown.
I mean, who doesn't know the classic line? It'll feel like you've been by a train.
I was trying so hard to keep this clean and family friendly today, but
I'll edit that out.
All right, so movies to watch on a Saturday afternoon when you have nothing else to watch. If this comes on, give it a show.
Shawshank Redemption.
All right.
Thumbs up in my book.
Thank you for tuning in to Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches today.
Let us know your thoughts on the movie down in the comments below. And what other movies are must-watches on a Saturday when they come on TV?
Tell us what you want us to watch, and we'll take a look at it and tell you our thoughts. You take care.
Bye-bye.